Hello, everybody, and welcome back in to Gamecock Central. Kendall Smith, joined alongside of my fantastic friend and co-host, Wes Mitchell, back here for another episode of the Recruiting Rundown. And Wes is a recruiting insider at GC, so he is quite the aficionado, and we're going to get into all of the details, all of the nitty-gritty when it comes to South Carolina football recruiting in just a second. But Wes, before we go any further, tell us about our great friend Andy, who is the sponsor of today's show.
Yes, Andy Ludicky from My Perfect Franchise. Head on over to myperfectfranchise.net or contact Andy at 404-973-9901. And so, Kendall, do you know what Andy does?
Andy helps people find the perfect franchise for them. So if you're interested in owning like a Chick-fil-A or a Bojangles, maybe we could get a Chick-fil-A out by Willie B. I think that would do numbers. You can contact Andy and he'll hook you up.
He will. So basically, whatever your needs are, whatever you are kind of looking to do, like maybe you want to own a business as like a side biz, or maybe you want to just go all in and for that to be your one job. Maybe you got a lot of money you can put towards this. Maybe you don't have quite as much money. He's going to take kind of your time commitment, your financial commitment. He's going to match you up with a franchise that matches your needs and kind of your responsibilities. So 404-973 9901. You can call him, you can text him. Also, shoot him an email, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. If you're ready to make that leap, if you want to build some wealth, if you're just tired of being an employee, then Andy will be there to help you through the process because guess what? He has been through it before, Kendall. And also, his services are absolutely free. So, what do you have to lose?
All I'm saying is some very smart person watching this is going to contact Andy. They're going to say, I want to open a Chick-fil-A. I want to open some sort of fast food restaurant over by Willie B. And I am telling you, that is going to do so well. There's not enough food options around the stadium. And once games are over, people are hungry, they're tired, they want to eat. So hit up Andy and someone will make a lot of money. Business advice from a girl who just graduated college. You're very welcome for all of that. But Wes, enough about franchises. Let's get into recruiting here on this episode of the Recruiting Rundown. Quite a bit to talk about. South Carolina had some unofficial visitors last weekend in their game against Mississippi State. Obviously, a really big decision coming up for a big time 2024 target for the Gamecocks in Cam McKell. So we're going to get into all of that right now, starting off with Cam, because he'll be at Tennessee this weekend. He is a four-star cornerback / receiver out of Statesboro, Georgia. He's down to kind of his final three schools, if you will, at least the top three that we have at this point: South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. He was just at USC last weekend, heading to Tennessee this weekend. So, Wes, where does he stand in the recruitment process, and how big is this weekend for the Gamecocks in trying to maybe fend off Tennessee a little bit?
Yeah, I think this past weekend was huge for them to get him back on campus. This is a guy who, for the most part, it felt like South Carolina's been in the top group, but I don't know if they've been in the top half of, his top group to kind of extend it out. So the top six also has included Colorado, has included Texas A&M, has included Kentucky, excuse me. And so, you have kind of a wide-ranging list there. Colorado got involved here recently with Deion Sanders, and I think you got to keep an eye on them as well. But South Carolina had him in for an official visit over the summer, and then it's kind of been a little bit quiet just publicly in terms of South Carolina and Cam. Well, then lo and behold, come to find out this past weekend, hey, he's going to be in Columbia. We've not heard direct reactions from him on how that visit went, but we've heard the visit went very well. And so, I think South Carolina, they're in it. I don't think I'm ready to call them a favorite at this point, but I think this past weekend, getting a big SEC win, great atmosphere. Now I think South Carolina is open to him potentially playing wide receiver as well. He's listed as a corner on his profile, but, Torian Gray heavily involved. That's kind of who has been leading his recruitment. So early on, it looked like he'd be a DB for South Carolina. Now, I think it could be DB, could be wide receiver. And he's going to get a chance to see them again this weekend. Obviously, he'll be sitting in an orange and white section. So going to be a little bit different. There won't be any contact with South Carolina, but it'll just be 2 weeks in a row. He'll get to see how South Carolina operates on the field. And he's a guy we're tracking probably a little bit more now with that return visit this past weekend than we had been for the months prior to that.
Well, even though South Carolina won't have the opportunity to have contact with Cam this weekend, I think the way that they play and what they do against Tennessee is obviously going to have an impact on the way that he views the Gamecocks. And all I'm saying is if South Carolina wins this game and stuff starts flying from the stands, that could be a good thing for South Carolina, because I don't think that that's really a good look for any school to have any of that happen. I think if South Carolina does pull off the win this weekend, we could potentially be in danger down there on the field, because
Kendall, you just have this fear that you're going to get hit with a mustard bottle.
3 days ago.
It's not happening.
It's not a mustard bottle. It's a golf ball that I'm scared of. A mustard bottle will not do any damage. A golf ball to the head is scary, and I don't think I have the reflexes like Lane Kiffin to be able to catch it or to be able to pay attention if something's coming down on the field. All I'm saying is Tennessee fans cannot stand Lane Kiffin. I think after last year, they might dislike Shane Beamer more, and that is 100% saying something. So
luckily, you're pretty hard-headed too. So, like, I
am
think
hard-headed, so that might help me out.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be okay. I don't know if you're allowed to take your umbrella in those to like protect yourself. So
I'm gonna see
I
if
don't
they
know.
have extra football helmets on the sideline for South Carolina. I think they will. I'll just stick that bad boy on my head and
Oh my gosh, that'll be in your video vlog, I'm sure.
Yeah, the vlogs are coming back this weekend, but Cam will be there again. 4-star cornerback / wide receiver in this class of 2024 would be a huge get for South Carolina if they're able to make it happen. And we think he's targeting a commitment date, maybe sometime in the month of November. Of course, nothing official, but we'll see how all of that pans out. Wes, we just said how Cam was in South Carolina last weekend. He wasn't the only person. There were quite a few unofficial visitors with the Gamecocks on Saturday against Mississippi State. Generally speaking, what was the feedback from that weekend, and who are some of those big names that were in town watching the Gamecocks?
Yeah, lots of positive feedback that we got directly from some players, and some indirect feedback as well. But I thought a kid, Desmond Green, who is from Timberland High School, offensive lineman, probably the next like great offensive line prospect in this state. You look at obviously Cam Pringle, Josiah Thompson, Blake Franks, those guys for this class. He's the next in line a couple of years from now. And his reaction was basically that it was like a party with a football game in the middle of it. And I thought that was one of the best sort of observations I've heard from a recruit about South Carolina's atmosphere and how they've really added to the atmosphere the last couple of years and trying to just add new excitement. The LED lights, the music, all the things going along with that. So I thought that was a great reaction. One of the most highly recruited guys that South Carolina had in. Several from the 2025 class. I would circle Jared Smith, who's a 4-star edge rusher out of Hoover, Alabama. Big time guy that they had in. There were several for 2025. And then kind of going back forward to this 2024 class, South Carolina continuing to kind of fill out their wide receiver class and potentially adding more guys there. We talked about how Cam Michael could play DB, could play receiver, but there are some local-ish guys. Yannick Smith from Somerville, he's a wide receiver. He's had a big senior year. And then you go right across the border, not too far, in Savannah. There's a receiver named Jalen Hampton from New Hampstead High School, 3-star guy. He was at the Furman game. So was Yannick Smith. He was back in town for this game as well. South Carolina has not offered either of them yet, but we've seen South Carolina with sort of local guys continue to kind of keep the conversation going. They've stayed in touch, and I think either one of those guys would be pretty interested in South Carolina if they were to offer. So just something to keep an eye on there, Kendall.
Well, we know that South Carolina has had a lot of success with in-state guys in the past. So that's obviously in the plans of Shane Beamer and his staff to continue with that success as they continue in their coaching tenures with the Gamecocks. But Wes, another name that's been pretty big in this 2024 class, it's a running back out of Meridian, Mississippi, Daniel Hill. we talk about Tennessee, I feel like, just as much as we talk about South Carolina on these shows at this point. But we feel like this might be kind of a battle at this point between South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. What is the update on Daniel Hill and his recruitment right now?
Yeah, Tennessee, I would say, is on the outside looking in. South Carolina, Alabama is still kind of your primary two that you would look at there. Mississippi State has tried to get involved, but I think it ultimately will come down to South Carolina, Alabama. He was set to make his decision, last month. That did not happen. It would have been South Carolina if he had picked then. He has been to Alabama a couple of more times since then. So South Carolina is still battling to try to get him back on campus. I know they would love to have him in town a couple of weeks from now for that Florida game. So that will be something to continue to keep an eye on. And if we really want to like go deep into the social media kind of what does it mean type thing, Kendall, I know you love this. Danny Hill posted on his Instagram story the other day a photo of him at Alabama, but then he had the 3 little Gamecock emojis on his chest that were just magically added in there. So I don't know what that means, but generally I say not to read into it, but
I
I
feel
thought
like
that was
that's kind of obvious.
it's a little on the nose,
You're
So
literally posting at another school, and then you're using the other school that they're in direct competition with to try to land you as a commit. You're using the emoji of their mascot.
yeah, pretty
That's
interesting, right? Like I feel like that might be somewhat noteworthy. So we'll see where this goes. We've said, the caveat is Alabama always tough to beat. He's been to Alabama more than anywhere else by far. And right now you kind of had, and I normally wouldn't even go to this depth, but the family has been like pretty open about talking about, the dad has said how much he likes Alabama. At the same time, I think Daniel Hill really likes South Carolina. Dante Reno has been steadily working him as well. Jody Wright, Montario Hardesty, both those guys have been working this situation very hard. And so some Gamecock fans have given up. I would say don't give up yet. I think South Carolina is still in this battle. And we'll, of course, still be continuing to track this with Danny Hill moving forward.
Yeah, definitely do not give up. Obviously, a big boy recruiting battle. We have to throw that term in there at least once a show because South Carolina is
Trademark.
quite a few of those, and they have been over the last couple of years, which is obviously great progress if you're the Gamecocks. Those are the teams you want to go against, the Alabamas of the world, the Georgias of the world, and more and more and more as we continue to track these recruits and track the guys that South Carolina is landing in the top 10, the top 5, the top 2 for. A lot of the schools that South Carolina are going against is big time SEC programs, Ohio State, big time, programs throughout the country. And that's exactly what you're looking for if you're the Gamecocks. So be sure to stay posted on GamecockCentral.com because we are going to keep you up to date on everything that you need to know. And by we, I mean Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell. You can also listen to them every single day on 107.5 The Game, the Firehouse Subs Gamecock Central hour from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. So you can get your full fill of South Carolina football. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift today, right, Wes?
I mean, now that you bring it up, I feel like we could get in a good little 10 minutes here. But no, we'll keep the people happy today, Kendall. We will not talk about that much. But hey, you should call into our takeover hour soon, Kendall. Not just ignore us and never get on GC Live anymore, never listen to the show, never do recruiting roundups anymore. You should
Rundown.
like
Recruiting rundown.
okay.
Come on,
Yeah.
Wes. Get with the program. We've done this for over a year. You got to know better than that. But I will call in to the show.
You should just randomly call in. That's what I want you to do.
I was on 107.5 for Colin's show a couple weeks ago before UNC USC game. I'll
Sorry, I
call
did
into
not watch
yours as an anonymous hater. I'll be like, oh, my name is Kelsey, and I'm just going to start hating. And then I'm going to have to make you guys realize that it's actually my voice, and you'll finally
I
recognize
think we will recognize it right off the bat.
You'll
Yeah.
probably recognize it right off
Yeah.
the bat, but I'll have to call in. I was on GC Live earlier this week, so if you haven't had the chance to watch that, be sure to give it a watch, give it a like, comment down below what you think the biggest recruit is, who you think the biggest recruit is for South Carolina at this point. We want to hear you guys sound off in the comments. And again, go subscribe to GamecockCentral.com. Check us out on social media at Gamecock Central. Wes, I'm glad we could still be friends today, even after your Braves did what they did last night to my Chicago
Oh,
Mets.
Kendall. I waited till today. I really wanted to text you last night about that. I was like, I'm gonna
I
I'm
was
gonna
upset.
wait. Yes.
Not
Hey,
happy.
I will say this. I know we're getting too long here, but we're done with the recruiting stuff. If you don't want to hear the just
Baseball.
chatter here, just turn it off. It's fine. But do you know what the man in the arena is, Kendall?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so generally, I'm like, all right, these are professional athletes. They're millionaires. They're playing a game for fun. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if they make a mistake, if they lose a game, I don't really feel that bad. I'm like, they're going to wake up tomorrow just fine. I like my actual heart hurt for Suzuki, the right fielder, missing that ball because anybody that's played any sport ever, you never want to be the person that has like the big mistake that costs your team. But this is on a level, you're in front of thousands of
Really
fans. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of fans are seeing it. Millions of people are probably watching the blooper on social media. And then you may cost your team the playoffs. Like, I would never wish that on anyone. Like,
And
I
he's
felt
so
so bad
nice.
for him.
Like, he is so nice. Like, I'm a big Cubs fan, so I keep up with them on Marquee Sports Network, watching basically every game throughout the season. He is so, so sweet. So it's just really unfortunate that it happened to him. I still
No.
support him. It's okay. We all make mistakes. Obviously, I'm disappointed in the result from last night's game. Tonight is a must-win game for the Cubs. I hate to use the term must-win, but they have the Braves and then the Brewers to finish off the year. Two teams that you really don't want to finish the year with if you're the Cubs and you are trying to get in to a wild card spot by the skin of your teeth. Anyway,
I'm a big believer that sports will ultimately reward people that do things the right way. So I'm going to be hopeful that he gets to have a redemption moment
walks it
at
off
some
tonight.
point. Yes, at some point later on in
Well,
his
he's done a lot of stuff this
career.
season that have put the Cubs in the position that they are right now. So without him, I know a lot of the people watching are not even Cubs fans, but the Cubs wouldn't be in a position to potentially make the playoffs if he didn't have some of the big moments that he had. So, and this isn't all of sports. And my little rant today, people tend to forget the times where a player did come up big or did do something really great for a team when they mess up. So, just keep that in mind as we continue with the rest of football season. Let's hope it doesn't happen. But say Spencer Rattler has a bad day, everyone's going to forget all the great stuff that he's already done this season. That's all I'm saying. So just remember, these people are people. Wes and I are people too. You guys have been saying some mean stuff sometimes recently. So just remember that, okay? We don't
Hurt
really
Kendall's heart.
much anymore, but that's all I have to say. Be kind to others. Thank you for watching the show. This has been the Recruiting Rundown here on Gamecock Central. He's Wes Mitchell. I'm Kendall Smith, and we will see you guys soon. Have a great day.